What's going on, everybody? What's up,
good,
bro? Hey,
we back
man.
again.
Listen, super excited to be with you tonight.
Yeah.
On this Wednesday. It's been absolutely amazing, man.
Where we at, man?
Oh my God, we in the war room.
The war room.
The war room. As you can see, shout out to Lori, shout out to Sam, shout out to my wife. You guys helping putting this amazing stuff together.
Renovated.
As you can see, our job is to show up and just teach because we ain't doing none of this.
None of this.
Not at all. But welcome to Words of Royalty.
Let's go.
We are in the war room. If you ready to go to war, somebody put war in the chat right now and spell it right. W-O-R.
That's
Come on
right.
here.
War ready.
Because we're speaking words of royalty to you. You are royal. You are royal priesthood.
Yes,
you are a holy nation. God called you his children.
Yeah.
And the last time I checked, he said he was a king.
Come on now.
That's what he is. He's a king. So if you're a king, you're king kids.
Yeah.
Somebody put that in the chat. I'm a king kid.
Yeah.
I'm a king
I like that one.
kid. That's
a
who
king
I
kid.
am. That's my
That's
identity.
good.
So I'm super excited. I've been getting nothing but great feedback about this, man. I thought about going back to like the regular Bible study, but my mom even hit me up like, son, you and my other son, that's what you call
Yeah.
me, who keep asking me for something to eat. I don't know what that means though. She's like, y'all keep this thing going because this is amazing. I said we're gonna do it, but I think maybe if the people say it, next week we do this in person.
Ooh.
What you think, man?
Listen, I'm going to share a little background story to the people. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to share a little bit of something about you. You always told us, like, the way in the beginning before, when like in the beginning phases of our ministry, you said, you know what, I am not afraid to have church or do something different, Bible study different, service different. You never been one to just be the church culture, right? What's expected in this Western civilization, what church should look like, and to be in it, to have this war room, to you don't see this too often.
No, man. No,
I don't see it at all. There's podcasts or stuff, but like to do this, where
to go
God
to
had
war,
organically put in your spirit to birth this out, man. I mean, this is just a blessing to be a part of.
Amen, man. Well, listen. Well, if that's what it is, then if y'all put "Let's do it" in the comments,
Let's do it.
Next Wednesday is gonna be live. I gotta read. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it because God is doing something amazing, and I want to share with everybody.
Come on.
So if you like this, if you love this, but first of all, subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed. I promise you, we're dropping gems almost every day, like for real. The Holy Spirit is that's moving in this season, man. And I'm talking about there's going to be something amazing that's happening in the war room. I'm not going to share it. I'm not even going to talk about it. But the week, not next week, if you put "Let's do it" in the chat, we're going live. Then the week after that, I'm going to have something for you. Y'all ready for
He
it?
didn't tell me, so I
ain't even tell him.
Listen, I'm ready for it.
I'm throwing out all kinds of
love surprises.
Drop it.
Come on.
Drop it. Drop it like it's hot. There it is. Listen, I'm dropping all kinds of gems. I'm excited though.
Come on.
We just concluded. Let me jump into what we hear. We just included a series entitled "Responsibility," right? And I mean, heavy. But like I said on Sunday, and if you didn't see Sunday's message, I encourage you, please go watch that message. It will bless your life. But like I said on Sunday, there's always a backside to a blessing. There's always another side to a coin. There's never one side, right? And most people like to say there's three sides, but we know for sure there are at least two. And to every blessing, there's always a burden. There's always a responsibility. That's why promotion doesn't come without responsibility. And I couldn't go into the responsibility series and just leave it there as if you change your responses or the ability to respond, that when God blesses you, that's going to be it. Because a lot of people think that when you get blessed, you also get supported with people who like to see you blessed. And that's not how it always works. Come on here. Some of the most primary people who you think are in your corner will be some of the first people who give you criticism that's not constructive. Did you hear what I just said? Some of the primary people who you think is in your corner would be some of the first people who give you criticism that's not constructive. If you give me constructive criticism, that means you want to build me up, and I'm good with that. If you give me criticism that's not constructive, that means you're trying to tear me down. And we have a problem with that. And to be honest, the truth of the matter is we have a narrow view because people like who we were and they don't like who we are. And if once we change who we were into who we are, we realize, or we get to see people for who who they really are.
Yeah.
And people who come out to show who they really are don't always show that they were in your corner. They show that they like the version of you, but they don't like all of you. Because the version of me that you saw wasn't all of me that there was to see.
Come on.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So on Sunday, we started a new series.
Yes, we did.
Entitled Uninvited.
Ooh.
Uninvited, my God. And there's so many instances in the Bible about people going into places and spaces that were uninvited.
We're not
that were not invited, right? Not invited to, but they had to go anyway. And the reason why I really wanted to teach this series area because the Bible displays so many instances where people had to deal with dismissiveness, where people had to deal with discomfort, where people had to deal with the nature of disingenuous individuals who, watch this, who tried to keep them out or who did not invite them to a place that they were created to be.
Yeah.
Too many times, oh God, let me say this the right way. Too many times, we as the believer, we try to be what I call polite based on humility, but what we're actually being is self-sabotaging because we're actually living by symptoms of depravity. Let me say it again and slow it down. We call ourselves being humble, or we call ourselves being polite, or not stirring the waters because we want to be portrayed as people who have humility.
Right.
But oftentimes we don't portray humility. We portray symptoms of depravity. What's the difference? I think it's worth saying twice. So let me say this. What's the difference? The difference is symptoms of depravity comes from a moral corruption or wickedness that we had previous before we were saved.
Come on.
Because when you get saved, watch this, you are saved from the state of sin effective immediately, but you're not saved from the symptoms of sin. You're not saved from the symptoms of sin immediately. You're saved from the symptoms of sin incrementally.
Incrementally, yeah.
It takes time. It takes time to get rid of the symptoms.
Come on.
And oftentimes the humility we have are just reflections of our depravity, those symptoms that are running over, and not true humility. Humility says, watch this, let me say it this way. Depravity says that I'm not worthy and I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve to be in this space. Humility says, I deserve to be in this space, but it's not because I earned it. It's because God gave it to me. You understand the difference?
Yeah.
Humility says, I acknowledge where I am, and I acknowledge the fact that I got where I am, not because of who I am. But depravity says, I don't want to be where I am because of who I was, and I think based off who I was, I don't deserve to be where I am.
And that's what we forget, man. I feel like so many times that where God had already predestined us.
Yes.
He predestined us before we even had any qualifications.
Come on.
So before I did wrong or before I did right, he already said it. So
come on, you in the book.
I don't have to do anything right or wrong.
Yes,
I have to believe that this is for me.
That you in the book because he says before Jacob and Esau was born, Jacob I loved. Esau, they didn't do anything to earn this. Paul in the book of Romans said they didn't do anything to earn these credentials. They just were created.
They did.
I just need to, can I say something right there? I just need to tell somebody right here, you didn't do anything to earn your credentials. You just were created. Somebody say, I was just created. I was created for this.
Yeah.
I was made for this. I was birthed for this. I was conceived for this. It wasn't because of what I did or didn't do. It was because of what he did for me before I could do anything for him.
Does
that make sense?
Oh my gosh, there's no qualifications, but there was, what'd you say, prerequisites?
There was prerequisites.
So the only prerequisite was you being created.
Yes, sir.
And you can't create yourself.
Yeah, you can't create yourself.
So therefore, any work that is being done is actually not of you; it's for the Father.
Come on here. He put something in you before you was you. To get you to the place he wants you to be. Watch this. Not because of you, but because of him.
Come on now.
This is, oh God. I heard one author say it this way. I was listening to an Audible. I was listening to a book on Audible. I heard one author say it this way. He says, God's success for your life is not your best interest. God's success for your life is his best interest. Because it reflects his manufacturer company. It reflects his merchandise. It reflects his ability to create something versus your ability to be created.
Yeah.
That's why when you sit in the chair and if it falls, you don't yell at the chair.
No.
You don't sue the chair.
Yeah, you look crazy.
Come on here. Right. Oh God, help me, Jesus. You already in the ghost, boy. You look crazy when you yell at created things and you don't go back to the creator. Why are you trying to talk to your wife about her changing and you ain't talking to the person who made her to change? Y'all don't want to talk to me already. Don't click me off so fast. You steady talking to created things about who they are and what they can do versus talking to the one who created them. As the man of God just said, you look crazy.
You look crazy.
You look a little crack. You look a little on the dementia side. You look like you got a little issues going on.
You get a check.
Come on here once a month. And if you do, 10% go to
We'll take it.
Crazy or not. Listen. Oftentimes we're living in a new kingdom with an old language from our old culture, and we're trying to operate inside of a new dimension with old symptoms based off what we used to do or what we did do, not understanding that the places, watch this, the places that God has for us is a prerequisite, not because of us, but because of the purpose He created us for. I created you for something. You're not just here by happenstance. You're not here by accident. I don't care if your mama didn't know your daddy. I don't care if you didn't talk to your father since you were born. I don't care if your father never spoke into your life. I don't care if your mama left you by the side of the trash. I don't care if you were born out of premarital sex. I don't care if you were born and somebody adopted you and then they gave you up and then they adopted you and you bounced around and foster home. You still have a purpose.
Come on.
You still have a reason for being. You still have something that nobody else in the world has. God created you for His good.
Yeah, for His good.
Good really purpose. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. You are created for and with a purpose.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's right.
And talking about, the reason I really believe it's so important and imperative to talk about uninvited.
Yeah.
Because in order for us to get to that place where we are experiencing that purpose God has for us, we got to get in position. We got to get in position because there are places that God created, watch this, for us to be that pull things out of us that we didn't know we could be.
Right.
Did you hear what I just said? There are places that God created for us to be, to pull things out of us that we didn't know we could be.
Right.
So He created a space called marriage to pull something out of you that you didn't know you had. You didn't know you had that kind of patience until you got married.
Come on.
You didn't know you had that kind of patience until you had children.
Yeah.
You didn't know you had that kind of self-discipline until you want to just grab one of your children and just shake them after until your whole head. But He created that space because there's something in you that can only come out of you when you get to the place. So watch this. And if that's the case, if that's the case, you can't wait to get to the place when you accept it. You got to get to the place because you're appointed. You know, whether you accept me or not doesn't matter, because if I'm appointed to get there, I got to go whether you accept me or not.
Whether you invite me or not.
Whether you invite me or not. Come on here. I got to get to the place. Aaron, I did not know. Coming from Chicago, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, living in Mississippi for 10 years, I did not know working for corporate America was more about courage than intelligence. I did not know that I had to have courage to be in certain rooms and not just intelligence. I thought you had to be smart. But I didn't understand you had to be secure. You have to be secure when people look at you funny. You have to be secure when people act like you're not supposed to be there. You have to be secure when you one of the youngest I ain't gonna talk all my business, but when you one of the youngest leaders in a company, you gotta be secure. You don't have to be intelligent, because you'll never be the smartest person in the room, but you gotta be confident in who you are. You gotta be courageous enough to walk in that space. And as I'm thinking through this, man, let me get into this. As I'm thinking through this, I'm seeing that David found himself waiting to be accepted even though he was appointed. He was waiting for an invitation, even though he had a destination that moved him from one location to another location. But because he didn't have an invitation, he stayed in the previous location, even though the next location was his destination. Did you hear what I'm saying? Am I making sense? And too many times we're waiting for permission when we receive permission at our creation. When you were created, that's when God permitted you. That's when He gave you permission. Does that make sense? And our invitations would never come. Watch this. Our invitations will never come from people who care more about themselves than they do the kingdom. It'll never come from people who think more highly, as Paul would say, of themselves than they ought to. And I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm not saying that's in every realm. But what I am saying is that as long as we're waiting for permission, we will never get to purpose. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, man. And the crazy part about it, prerequisite and the place of purpose that God has for you, He established them both at the same time. And in order for you to get to the place of purpose,
Yeah.
right? You have to go through the prerequisites,
Yeah.
right? His conditions.
His conditions.
So, and what ends up happening is when you feel like you don't go through those conditions or
Yeah.
you have options,
Yeah.
you end up walking more in confusion
My God.
than the actual encourage.
My God.
Because it takes courage to walk in the prerequisites.
It takes courage to walk in the prerequisite.
In between the prerequisite and the place of purpose,
Yeah.
right, is a path.
Yeah.
And in that path don't always look pretty.
No, it don't always look
that
pretty.
path don't always look attractive.
No, not at all.
In that path you'll have rejection.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
that path you will have like depression.
Yeah.
You will go through some things.
Because that's a prerequisite.
That's a prerequisite.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need to develop your
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
come on here.
minute you start to feel like, you know what, I'm not going to go through that path because of what that path holds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna now be confused.
My God.
Because you needed to go through those conditions.
My God.
In order to be the person that you are today.
In order to be the person you have to become to be.
Become to be.
This is what God had to show me. Can I share this revelation? He said this. He says an invitation, watch this, to a location that exists. It's an invitation to a location, here it is, does not exist outside of your purpose. It only exists because of your creation. Say it again. An invitation to a location does not exist outside of your intended purpose. It only exists because of your creation. What does that mean? God did not create the location before he created the creation.
Right.
He created the creation and then the location.
Right.
The location came before the creation, but then after the creation came the location, and in the location you have manifestation. Teach the Bible. Can I teach your Bible? Because I'm hearing some pastor, slow it down. You're giving a lot of Asians. So let me break this down. Let me break down my Asians. Here it is. Genesis 1:26 and 27. I love this. I love these verses in the book of Genesis. It says, God says, let us make man in our image according to our likeness and let them rule. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over everything that creeps along the ground on the earth. So God, this is verse 27. So God created. Listen, God created man in his image. The image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. He created us in Genesis 1.
Yeah.
He created the garden in Genesis 2. He created us, he manifested us after he created the garden in Genesis 2.
Manifested us.
Okay. Creation came before location. But before you can get manifestation, you got to first get to the right location.
Right.
So God says, I created you.
Yeah.
Then I created that. I created you. I created that. But I'm going to put you there so I can see that you become what I created for you to be. You can't be what I created you to be until you get where I created you to be.
Come on.
But just know when you get where I created to be, you already created to be somebody before you got there. God, y'all don't hear what I'm saying today. So the location is only there for your manifestation, but it's there for your manifestation to get you back to an original creation that you were before the location.
Come on.
Am I making sense?
There was
God.
Oh, wow. There was two acts of creativity of us.
Yes, sir.
His imagination and then our manifestation.
Yes, sir. Come on with it. Yes,
man.
sir.
And so,
and to God, there's no difference. Because once it happens in my mind, oh God, I need somebody to hear that. Once it happens in my head, it's gonna happen in my life. That's why the Bible says, whatsoever a man thinks. Whatsoever a man imagines, that word, what you put up here, that's what you become. And God is the ultimate model of that. He says, when I created them, even though you didn't see them, I saw them. When I created them, even though you can feel them, I felt them. When I created them, even though you can touch them, I touched them. Because to me, creation happens in the imagination, but first, before it happens in a location where you only see a manifestation of my original creation.
And this is why you have to stop accepting every invitation, because when you accept the invitation, you become a manifestation of their imagination.
Preach, boy!
You become an expectancy of what they want you to look like. How you should sound like. The quality of life you should have.
When you get out of the place God created for you to be, you lose your authenticity and you start to take on somebody else's identity.
Come on.
That's why God had to put him out the garden.
Yeah.
When you start to, watch this, when you receive the invitation from Satan.
Come on
here. Once you received Satan's invitation, now you became a duplication of his imagination. And now I got to put you out of my location, because you can never become my imagination. You can never be again what I imagined you to be until I send another, watch this, until I send another person to create another location. This time it ain't gonna be in the garden, it's gonna be on the cross. This time it ain't gonna be a lamb that was slain, it's gonna be a man that was slain. But this place that he's going, Golgotha Hill, This place that he's going where he's carrying his cross, this will be your new location to find your original creation and get back to the person that I had in my imagination.
Come on, dude. Can we reference Sunday?
Come on.
Come on. When God had sent Samuel to go and anoint the king who was David, he went through 7 different brothers.
My God,
7 different brothers, and finally when he had got to David, he says, "This is the one."
Yeah.
Oh, that blessed me.
Yeah, it did.
This is the one. And what's crazy is for us to think that God put himself through a waiting process.
My God.
Because he became very selective.
Yes, sir.
He could have immediately, after the first brother, tell like, hey, no, Samuel, I want David.
Yeah.
But no, because God was so intentional and so selective about who he imagined to be king.
His prerequisite.
Yeah. I'm going to be very intentional about who I select.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, and we feel
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
But, and not only that, he says, I can't select David because he's still in the field. I can't give him, watch this, his destination outside of the right location. I got to get him to the place.
Come on.
So I can call him and create it for him to be.
Yeah.
When we are not in the place, then we are not in the right person that God created us to be.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Andrew Farley, he's the author. He said this. He says, God's will is not an itinerary, it's an attitude. I'm choosing 7, but because I'm God, my will is not based off an itinerary.
No.
It's not based off, A, B, C. It's based off an attitude. Yeah. I'm looking for somebody.
Come on.
Who I know I create to be king. Why? Because he has a different kind of attitude about himself. He has a different type of posture. And when I see him in the place where I called him to be, then that person who I call him to be will show up. He'll finally realize he's not a shepherd, but he's a king.
Man.
And I cut you off, and I'm so sorry. I got too excited there because I had to think about Sunday.
You just gave me something else, man. David was a man after God's own heart.
He was that.
That means even when he was in the field, shepherding shepherds, he was after God's heart.
He was. And
God knew his heart already from the prerequisite
come on here.
So that means when I put him on the throne, he would still be after my own heart.
Yeah.
His heart never changed. He may have made mistakes. He may have had some moments, but he will never change. Yeah. That's why God appointed him and anointed him that way.
My God, he did it, Aaron, because I created the creation before I created the location. So the only reason why Samuel is showing up is because there was a David in the first place. Samuel does not show up unless David is born, because the location can't come without the creation.
Come on now.
And when you have a creation, God says, then I will make a location. Why? To give me a manifestation of my original creation.
That's right.
And I'm going to go back to what you said previously. Whenever we started accepting the wrong invitation, just imagine if David wasn't in the place. Just imagine if David would have went somewhere else and would have went, down the field and started talking to his shepherd buddies and say, man, they ain't invite you. Oh God, I'm finna sit on this right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
They ain't invite you. We gonna kick it anyway.
Yeah.
Because the problem I think most of the times I hear as a pastor is people coming to me complaining about what other people said or did to them, not understanding that it's not the flesh and blood that we wrestle with, but it's principality, powers, and high places, meaning that if Satan can get somebody to say something to you, to get you out of the place God has for you,
location,
he will give you another invitation that don't look like an invitation, but the reason it's an invitation because you missed your location. So whenever I get an attitude and leave, I'm doing Satan a favor.
Oh, wow.
Whenever I start saying they don't like me anyway, I'm doing him a favor. I need to tell somebody, even if they don't like you, stay there.
Stay there.
Even if they, even if they talk about you, stay there. Even if they come against you, stay there. Even if they start persecuting you, stay there. Even if they hate on you, stay there. Because God is saying, it's the place I called you to be. It's the place I appointed you to be. And just because they didn't accept you don't mean I didn't appoint you. I put that address as a part of your creation, that whenever I created this location, I'm sitting on this one. Whenever I create this location, I'm going to see a manifestation of a person that has a destination to fulfill a purpose that I have for him to be. be. You gotta stay there. Somebody put, I'm staying there. And I'm not just talking about a physical location, I'm talking about an attitude. I'm staying there. I'm talking about a posture. I'm staying there. I'm talking about a placement of my stability and my faith. I'm staying there. Come on, boy.
Oh, man, you have to stay there, because I'm learning about God that he just doesn't redirect your path. He also redirect people.
Come on here.
Stay there. They'll leave.
Because they're not supposed to be there.
They're not supposed to be there.
My
because
God.
it's your path.
Come on here.
It's your path.
And what God has for me. Yeah, I felt that one. That's a good old Baptist revelation.
What God has for me is for me. And that's why when God was choosing David, and it felt like he skipped over everybody.
Yeah.
He didn't skip over
No.
matter of fact, he acknowledged them.
Yes, sir.
He said no. He said no.
Yes, sir.
And so many times we have problems. We have problems moving forward from disappointment.
Yes.
Simply because we can't accept the fact that God had already said no.
Come on here. We allow disappointment to become discouragement on why we can't get into the place of our destiny. We allow disappointment too much power to move us out of placement.
Come on.
And allow us to become people we're not supposed to be. You start acting like who you left.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about a version of yourself that you divorced.
Yeah.
You start to remarry the person that you killed. Why you keep resurrecting somebody that you spent so much time putting in the grave?
Come on.
Why you keep bringing people up that you spend so much time to do away with?
Come on.
You have to learn, we have to learn that the people are supposed to be there to see you get anointed, but they're never there to take your appointment because they can't be who you are. There's only one you.
Come on.
You're authentic.
You're authentic.
It's only one you. And if I can go a step deeper, I was on the surface, but if I can go a step deeper, the Bible says that when Samuel anointed David, he left and went to Ramah. And God had to reveal to me that Samuel still was even dealing with discouragement and rejection because of Saul, because that was the first person he anointed. That's the first person that he was selected to choose. And sometimes when we choose the first one, we think that's the best one. I'm going to go a little deeper. Sometimes when we choose the first one, we think that's the best one. And we have a hard time letting go what God has already let go of. We have a hard time rejecting what God has already put away. He said, you can keep the relationship, but in my eyes, it's rejected.
Yeah.
You can keep the person around, but in my eyes, it's rejected. You can keep the business plan, but in my eyes, it's rejected. Whenever I do away with it, I need you to do away with it. Why? Because there's a better plan that I have besides the person you pick first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And because we still believe that there's opportunity where God has already omitted.
Ooh.
God is saying, I've ended it already.
My God.
Why are you still trying to breathe into
necessary
it?
endings.
Necessary. Why are you still trying to give it life?
Come on, sir.
Why are you still trying to get them to change after they made up in their mind they're not going to change?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about God's will, right? They're not going to change because they made a decision not to change.
Yeah.
So God's not going to impose in their will because He doesn't violate their will.
My God.
So He won't impose in their will not to change. You want it to change, but God is saying I can't make them change because that's not who I am.
That's not who I am.
If they don't want to change, why are you trying to make them change?
My God.
You have to learn to have courage to step into the path that is for your actual location.
For your actual location.
Where you're supposed to be.
Where you're supposed to be. Because when Samuel left, he didn't just leave because of his own, he just leave David's brother. He didn't just leave because of his own issues. He also left David.
Yeah.
Think about this. You just anointed this man in front of his brothers that's discounted him, that said he wasn't the one, but now he has to deal with them by himself. You weren't there to cover him.
No.
You weren't there to protect him.
No.
You weren't there to shield him. But God has a prerequisite for David. He says, I need you to feel them staring at you. I need you to feel them looking at you. Why? Because your anointing is not just, watch this, your anointing is not just for you to get there. Your anointing got to be strong enough for you to stay there.
Right.
Let me put it to you this way. You cannot have enough oil on you for you to come into a room. You have to have enough oil on you for you to be consistent in the room. And being consistent in the room means sometimes that you got to deal with people not liking you in the room.
In the room.
By yourself. In the room.
In the room.
I'm by myself and I'm in the room, but I'm oily. I'm by myself, I'm in the room, but I'm anointed. I'm by myself, I'm in the room, and I'm king. You have to be strong enough inside of who God created. Let me put it to you this way, because we're talking about it. You have to be courageous enough.
Yeah.
You have to be, as he would tell Joshua several times, you have to be strong. And in one version it says very courageous. You have to be courageous to be who God called you to be. Blind Bartimaeus had to be courageous. Like, to be blind and to be, watch this, considered somebody that should be dislocated from the crowd, somebody that should be abandoned from Christ, somebody that should not touch anything that's clean because of his ailment, his issues, his infirmities, because of his blindness. But for him to keep shouting, you got to be courageous to keep shouting. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? I feel like I'm here on the Sunday. You got to be courageous to keep shouting. You got to be courageous when everybody tell you to be quiet, for you to say, I'm going to keep going. Matter of fact, I ain't just going to keep going. I'm going higher. I'm going louder. I'm getting braver. I'm getting bolder. Everybody go hear me now. You got to be courageous. You got to be courageous, Aaron, to be Zacchaeus, to climb up in a tree of a short status and people to look at you and say, oh, look at that little shorty in the tree. Yeah, I'm short, but I see Jesus. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I'm short, but I'm in the right location. I'm short, but I got enough courage to get what Christ is. I may be short, and I may be the laughing stock or the fool that you're looking at. But guess what? I'm courageous enough to get to my Christ. Come on. And you gotta be courageous enough to get. You gotta be courageous, to be the woman with the issue of blood. You have to be courageous to go through a crowd bleeding. Yes. To go. Oh, come on here, somebody. What one theologian said? One theologian said she wasn't just bleeding, hemorrhaging internally. She was bleeding like a woman would be bleeding on her menstrual cycle externally. Can you imagine a woman with no past, a woman with no way to cover herself, a woman with no protection, bleeding her way through the crowd? It takes courage to bleed in front of people. Y'all don't hear what I just said. I felt that right there. It takes courage to bleed, and for people to look at you bleeding and you say, don't worry about me bleeding, I'm getting my healing. It takes courage to say, I got a wound, but don't worry about my wound, I'm getting my healing. It takes courage to say, I may have a hole in my side, but Thomas, if you don't believe me, put your finger in my side, because I know who I am, holes and all. I know, oh God, gaps and all. I know who I am, voids and all. It takes courage to stand up in front of people. And what happened when a woman, I feel the Holy Ghost right here. What happened when the woman came to Jesus with the issue of blood and he said, who touched me? The Bible says she was afraid and she started trembling. And she started trembling, the Bible says. And the Bible says, Jesus said, daughter, your faith has made you well. So you're trying to tell me courage to get to the right location, change my identity from damage to daughter. Y'all don't hear what I said? That's what courage would do. It would change your identity when you get to the right location of your destiny. You got to stop waiting on an invitation, because your identity is looking for a destination so it can become the person that you were created to be.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to be
no, come on, bro.
Oh my gosh, see, courage, because this woman, when she touched Jesus, she came immediately healed. Yeah. And it says that, and because when her instantly healed she couldn't hide herself. My God. So courage will put you in a position of exclusion to exposure. Because listen, when you're sick back in these times, you couldn't be in public. Yeah. So no one was going to invite her to the crowd where Jesus was at. No. She didn't have an invitation.
She wasn't getting one.
Matter of fact, it's one thing to be an afterthought. It's another thing to not even be considered.
Come on, to not be a thought at all.
Not be a thought at all.
Come on, sir.
She had no right, no reason. Nobody even thought of her of being in this crowd.
Come on.
So I needed courage.
Yes, sir.
To stand.
Yes, sir.
And I may have a trail of blood.
My God.
I may bleed on someone.
My God.
But my determination to be who God called me to be, which is a woman of healing, but the prerequisite, I'm going to give you sickness so that you can know just how truly healed you really are. So until you go in front of a crowd,
God.
Jesus didn't see you, but the crowd saw you.
My God, I wish y'all heard that word. He said, it takes courage to get to where you got to be, regardless of who you bleed on. Oh God, somebody say in the chat, I'm sorry. Just put that in there right now. Just say, I'm sorry. Pastor, why we said we sorry? I'm sorry if I offended you, but I got to get to where God called me to be. I'm sorry if I bled on you, but I got to get to the place God called me to be. I'm sorry if I'm too loud for you, but I got to get to the place God called me to be. I'm sorry if I'm too animated for you, but I got to get to the place God called me to be. I'm sorry right now in advance, but I have to have enough courage to get to the place God called me to be, because in the destination is where I will find my original creation. I'm going to go back to it, and where you're going to see a manifestation if I stop waiting on your invitation to get to my location. I got courage to go through you. I got courage for you to look at me. I got enough courage to walk into places and spaces that God has called me to be. Listen, man, it takes courage, Aaron. It takes courage to change. It takes it. Oh,
come on.
I wish you could understand the profundity of what I just said. Changing, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would sign up.
That's why. That's why. Because when you go back to Joshua, and God was shifting the leadership.
Come on here to change. He was changing the leadership.
He was changing.
Yes, sir.
The culture. He was changing mindset.
That's right.
He was changing how the people live.
My God.
And it takes courage. That's why he tells Joshua, be strong and courageous.
Yeah, yeah.
He didn't tell him be strong and confident.
No, he didn't.
Because in order for you to get to confidence, you first got to have courage. Courage will be your first step, but confidence will be the reason why you keep going.
Come on, say Maya Angelou said, courage is the most important of all virtues, for without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can't have confidence without courage.
No, you can't.
You can't have hope without courage.
Come on.
You can't have loyalty without courage.
Come on.
You can't even love me right without courage. It takes courage to love.
Yeah.
It takes courage to trust.
Come on.
It takes courage to have peace.
Yeah.
Because that means sometimes you gotta be courageous enough to let people in, and sometimes you gotta be courageous enough
to let them leave.
Oh God, y'all don't hear what I'm saying.
Or kick them out, whichever one.
Put them out.
Come on.
You have to have courage.
Yeah.
This is what Peter Scazzero in his book, Emotionally Spiritually Healthy, he talks about a phenomenon or a motto on how to go back in order to go forward.
Yeah.
On how to, you remember that?
Yeah.
How to go back in order, if you read your book of the month, you know what I'm talking. Okay, Shade, I'm gonna do a little bit. How to go back in order to go forward. And this is what he says. He says, you have to have courage and wisdom, watch this, to go back and learn from your past, but not be crippled by it. To go back and gain something from your experiences, but not to be stuck in it. Yeah. He says, in order for you to go forward at the accelerated rate and at the pace you should go, you have to be courageous enough to go back, but not be, watch this, not be coward enough to be crippled by going back that you can't move forward. Because it takes courage to look at your past.
Come on.
But it takes you to be a coward to stay there and talk about it. Why are you going back to people? I feel that.
Come on. Yeah.
I don't know what to throw. Why are you going back to people? Talking about what they did to you yesterday. When it's about who you gonna be tomorrow. I heard Jim Rome say it this way. They was talking about protesting the minimum wage rates, and Jim Rome said, "Why are you protesting a place that you shouldn't stay long anyway?" Woo! Why are you protesting to people
to give me the minimum?
Come on here to give me the minimum wage where I should stay at anyway. My past is minimum wage. What you did to me yesterday is even if you apologize, that's the lowest I can get. That's the least of my value. You ain't giving me anything. Why am I wasting my time on this?
Yeah, come on.
When I should be learning how to get to that. It takes courage, Aaron, to go back in order to move forward. What is courage? Let me just throw this definition, man. I'm gonna flip it to you. Courage, I love this definition by Oxford. It's Oxford Learner's definition. It says, courage is the ability to face pain or opposition by doing something difficult or dangerous without showing fear. Say it again. Courage. The ability to face pain or opposition by doing something difficult or dangerous without showing fear. It didn't say without having fear.
Or feeling fear.
Yeah. Meaning I may feel fear, fearful, or I may have fear, but I don't show it.
I got to do it anyway.
I got to do it anyway. Did you hear what I just said? I got to do it. Somebody put that for your pastor. Say, I'm going to do it anyway. Because courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means that you do it in the face of it.
Yes.
Courage means that you do something, watch this, that's difficult, but that's necessary.
Come on.
That you do something that may be hard, but that may be required. Courage says that I have to look at the potential outcome of what is scaring me, but do it anyway because my future is more important than my fear.
Yeah.
My future is more important than my fear. That's why it takes courage to change because change requires a level where the pain of you not getting to a future is more hurtful than a pain of you staying resistant because of your fear. That's why it takes courage, because you got to do it in the difficulty of pain.
Yes.
It's going to hurt, but I'm going to hurt going. And I'm going to hurt going.
Courage is an indication of progression.
Yes, sir.
It's indicating that you are moving and you are going towards where the location you're supposed to be at.
Yes, sir.
So what the enemy does, he try to discourage you.
Yes, sir.
Because discouragement, if courage is an indication of progression, discouragement is an indication of stagnation.
My God.
So if you're always waiting for an invitation, if you're to progress, that means those same people that invite you would be the same people that discourage you.
My God. Oh. And if those people have the same power over you, that means the same people, watch this, that propelled you can be the same people that stagnate you. That's why he tells Peter, I love you, but get thee behind me, Satan, because even though you watch this, you gave me an invitation into your life, you can't be the reason why I create a stagnation to my progression. I can't stop because of you. I love you, but I can't stop because of you. Oh God, I'm telling you this because I'm courageous enough to get to my calling, even when it does not fit your purpose or your permission.
Peter, your intentions were good.
Your intentions were good,
but they were not purposeful.
But you missed the mark. You missed the mark. And courage, listen to me. Courage, and I know we've been going, man.
Come on.
We've been going. Play it back twice. That's why you're going so fast. Listen to it twice. Share it with somebody and say, you got a double take on this one. Courage, watch this. Courage, and this is how God had to teach me about courage, man, because he kept saying, be courageous. I said, God, why would you tell us to be courageous? He said, because courage is not an origination of your creation. Courage is actually a cure to your sickness. Fear is the illness.
Yeah.
Courage is a cure. Fear is a stagnation.
Come on.
Courage is the cure of your progression.
Come on.
You have to be courageous.
Yeah.
Which means you have to have a certain ingredients, or you have to have certain applications or certain functions that you do to get this courage.
Yeah.
Courage that it doesn't come to you just because you woke up today.
No, it's something you have to step into.
It's something you have to walk into.
Yeah.
You have to walk courageously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Walk into that place of courage.
Yeah.
You have to be. It means that I'm telling you, and he told Joshua, I'm telling you a command, because unless you have certain levels of ingredients to be courageous, you will never see courage come in your life. You will always choose comfort over courageous if you think it comes naturally.
Ooh, yeah.
You will always choose comfort over courage or being courageous if you think it comes naturally.
Yeah.
Being courageous does not come naturally, but you have to look at courage as a cure. And not just a natural characteristic.
Yeah.
So what are these ingredients? God gave me 4 things that I was studying, and it's interesting, man, because in the New King James Version, courage is mentioned about 28 times, and I'm studying each of these particular times that is mentioned, and it's like there's 4 things I saw in every instance of courage, and everybody gonna like the first one. But it's a necessary ingredient. It's like eating raw eggs. Everybody don't like to eat raw eggs, but in order to make that cake, it's a necessary ingredient, right? And if you mix it the right way, it's going to become what you want to taste for your pleasure or for your enjoyment. That's the same thing with this first one. What's the first one? The first ingredient that has to happen from courage, Aaron, is uncertainty.
You don't know everything.
Because uncertainty drives symptoms of fear.
Yeah.
It drives symptoms of doubt. And in order to have courage, you have to have it in the face of fear. That means fear or doubt or opposition has to be present.
It has to
be present. It's a necessary ingredient. You don't need courage in your place of comfort.
Yeah.
You need courage in your place of fear. You need courage in your place of uncertainty. Yeah. You need courage when you don't know how it's going to turn out. And it's starting to, make you a little bit uneasy and unnerving. And you say, oh, maybe God didn't tell. God told you, but you got to be strong and courageous. You have to be a courageous enough, watch this, to be uncertain about your future, but certain about your faith.
Come on.
Did you hear what I just said? You got to be courageous enough to be uncertain about your future, but certain about your faith.
Yeah.
And let, here's number 2, uncertainty, and let number 2, because you need this ingredient, and let your security be in your faith and not in your uncertainty. Every time he told them to have courage, he was telling them to be secure. Watch this, in me and not in you. Courage means you have to change your security from being secure in that thing that you fear to being secure in that thing that you believe.
Yes.
Does that make sense? You're going to have uncertainty, but just add an ingredient of security to it. To say that to yourself that even though I'm not secure how this is going to turn out, I'm secure that my God going to make it turn out for me. I'm not secure what you're going to do to me, but I'm secure that he said all things will work together for, oh God. what you meant for evil. Come on here. I'm uncertain that you're going to throw me in this pit. I'm uncertain I'm going to have to spend about 13 years in this prison going back and forth with Potiphar's wife lying on me. But I am secure in the fact that God gave me a dream.
Right.
And what you meant for evil, God meant. I'm secure in that. But it's not just uncertainty and security. You also got to have, watch this, willingness. Because this is the thing you just said. God don't force you to be courageous about your future.
No. He doesn't.
God does not force you to be courageous about. You have to be willing to be courageous.
Right.
You have to be willing to make a choice. You have to be willing to make a decision. Like you have to be willing to step into that place of courage. You have to tell yourself, I am willing to do this.
No one's going to do it for you.
Oh, come on here.
Come on.
No.
Willingness. Again, I'm just stuck on this invitation. If you people who wait on invitation, right? Yeah. Never have initiative.
You wasn't willing to go in the first place. You wasn't willing to go in the first. That's why you didn't pick out a dress. Ooh. That's why you ain't go to the store.
Come on.
Because if you was willing to go to the party, you already had your dress ready. And if you was ready to go to the party, you already had your dress ready. And if you was willing to go in that space, you always had your suit ready. So if you willing, you're already prepared, whether you invite me or not. People who wait on invitations never get to that place of destination because they made up in their mind that they're going to have that they're going to live in stagnation. They've already made up in their mind.
You want someone to bring you.
Boy, Jesus Christ. You come on here.
You want someone to bring you and then you hope they add a +1 to it.
My God, come on, sir. It takes courage to carry you, but it don't take courage to be carried.
Woo!
Yo, boy, so many scriptures that went through my head. I'm gonna tell you the truth. He already on Sunday number 3, because that's one of the Sundays. You in the ghost. It takes courage to carry, but it did not take courage to be carried. You have to be willing. Then the last thing I saw, Aaron, uncertainty must be mixed with security. That must be mixed with willingness. That must be mixed with determination.
I got to get there. I got to get there.
Did you hear?
I got to get there.
Did you hear?
I don't care who's in front of me.
Come on,
I got to get there.
Come on, talk about it.
I don't care what my circumstances looks like. I don't care what my bank account looks like. I'm going to get there. I have to get there.
Come on.
I will get there.
Come on here.
Right? I'm unsure about it.
Come on.
But I know who is sure about it.
Come on, sir.
And that is where I put my trust in. That is what I believe in.
Come on here.
My determination. This woman of the issue of blood, she was so determined to be healed.
Come on.
Whatever the cost.
Well, it don't matter.
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I'm determined to get there.
You know, people are going to talk about us when they look at this live. I'm determined anyway. I'm determined. You know, people going to say, man, what they keep screaming for don't matter. I'm determined anyway. You people will be like, why y'all keep doing what y'all do? It don't matter.
I'm determined to do it.
Come on.
Because I'm called to do it.
I'm called to it. And watch this. I'm not just called to it. I got the courage to do it.
I got the courage
to sit on this camera and scream at you anyway. Come on here. I'm determined. Woo. I'm willing. I'm secure. And guess what? I may have a little bit of uncertainty, but that uncertainty mixed with security, mixed with willingness, mixed with determination gives me a courage that says, even though you slay me, I'm still going to try. I'm determined. I'm determined to suffer for a while. Yeah. That's what the Bible says. That after you suffer a while, that means after I've been through some heartache, I'm still not quitting. I've been through some agony, I'm still not quitting. I'm not saying it's been pleasant. Matter of fact, I'm saying it's probably been more painful than pleasant. But just because it's been more painful than pleasant, don't mean you got to stop your progression to purpose. You got to still be determined to get there.
Come on. Why would God make you go through all that pain and not give you something in return for it?
Somebody say my pain has a price.
Yes, it does.
Somebody say my pain has a price.
But we don't believe there's anything after our pain, that we just dwell in that pain.
My God, man.
You have no determination to get better. You have no determination to change your relationship around. You have no determination to change your environment. You want work to change for you, but you won't change for your work.
My God.
You want your wife to change for you, but you won't change for her.
Where your courage at?
You want the ministry to do something for you, but you won't do anything for the ministry.
Where your courage at?
Like, I know we talk about church hurt, but baby, you hurt the church.
Where your courage at, boo-boo? Come on, boy. Preach the word. Come on.
You have no determination.
Courage, man. It takes courage to go to a church that you say hurt you.
You heard it too.
It takes courage to stay in the marriage that you say hurt you.
You heard it too.
It takes courage to go after a business that you say didn't work for you. You didn't work for it.
Come on.
It takes courage.
You didn't work them whole 8 hours.
Come on. It takes courage, boy, to be who you are called to be.
Oh, that blessed me, man. I'm determined.
People don't understand why I'm so passionate. Let me tell you why I'm so passionate. I'm so passionate, first of all, because I know my history.
Yeah.
I'm always at awe of God, because even though you're looking at me, I'm looking at me. And I'm saying, how on God's green earth am I sitting here talking about courage and faith after I've been talking about drugs and shooting, like after I've been dealing, after I was stealing, after I was like literally almost trying to murder, so after I've been to jail, I can't count how many. How am I sitting here talking about courage? That for me is that's a passion I have, because watch this, Aaron, it puts me at so much amazement of what God can do. And when I get that amazement, I become astonished. And then when I get astonished, I take the limits off of this adventure. I stop putting limits on what he can do. If you don't know, let me tell you now, I don't tell him nothing about my notes, but I'm so amazed at how the Holy Spirit, that's why I be so passionate, because he be right in the ghost. I'm on camera saying it. You see, y'all probably should practice. No, we ain't practicing nothing. We moving by. That's what this is. This war room, baby. You don't get a chance every time to prepare for war.
No.
You don't get a chance every time to prepare for a battle. Sometimes you wake up and it's a fight. Sometimes you get out the bed and it's a fight. You on your way to work and it's a fight. Car shut down, it's a fight. Children acting crazy, it's a fight. You ain't got no money, it's a fight. Your bank account was just on 4, now it's in a negative. It's a fight. And you gotta be ready to just operate with passion, because you gotta be ready to say, even though he's trying to crucify me, I got enough courage to walk with a cross on my back and get to Golgotha Hill and say, I'm gonna sit right here and I'm gonna say, Father, forgive them, for they know I'm preaching on the winds. I ain't supposed to be doing this.
Can you imagine if Jesus didn't have enough determination to finish what he was supposed to do?
My God,
we would all be in hell right now.
My God,
we'd all be burning up, man.
My God, trying to ask for some lemonade and Satan overcharging us. My God, we will all be suffering right now if he did not have determination, security, and willingness. He didn't have uncertainty, Aaron, because he was so confident in his Father. Every time the disciples, because we are 100% human. He was 100% human.
Yes,
he was also 100% divine. But he had so much faith in his Father that every time his disciples had fear, he said, "Why are you afraid?" It wasn't the fact that for him that emotion was there, because the Bible says he was tempted in every way. It wasn't that the emotion wasn't there. It's just the fact that he had so much security that it blotted out all of his uncertainty. Jesus is like, even if I die in a storm, he'll bring me back. Because he called me to a location. I'm done. I'm done. He called me to a location that had my original creation that I gotta get to in order to see a manifestation of who I am. He says, I'm not dying until my daddy says it's okay. And matter of fact, I'm gonna get to a point in my life where no man takes my life.
Oh, man, he says, I'm not dying until I'm there, until I'm at the place. I thank God, man.
Somebody just put that in the chat right there. Get there.
Get there.
Get there. Come on, thank God.
And I thank God, man, because for our destinations, because our destinations is what's giving us the determination to live.
Come on, sir. One writer said, it takes more courage to live than it does to die.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about how Jesus took the sting out of death. Oh, death, where is your sting? Like, where is the pain of death?
Yeah.
Grave, where is your pain? Like, where is your agony? There is no hurt in death. But it takes courage to live, because there's consistent hurt in life. You have to be courageous enough to be hurt, but still progress to your healing. Death is an easy way to heal. Die. die. It don't take courage to die. Suicide is not courage.
Yeah.
Homicide is not courage. It doesn't take courage to die. It takes courage to live. It takes courage to live for your children. And in one season, say, I wish I can buy you that. Until you have enough determination to get to another season and say, now I'm going to buy you that.
Now I'm going to buy you that. Yeah.
It takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes courage to get to a place in your marriage to say, you hurt me, and I don't know if I can trust you like that. To get to another place and say, I'm going to keep living with you until I can trust you like that. That's courage. Courage requires action.
Yeah.
Courage requires action. He who does not do anything does not deserve anything.
Yeah. Wow.
It takes courage.
Wow.
To get to the place God has for you to be.
It does.
It takes courage, man. Jesus had it.
Yeah.
And if we're followers, not of church, but if we're followers of Christ, we have to have courage. So I pray that everybody who's listening to us would be strong. What is that? The mental fortitude and security in your ability to get there. Be strong, unwilling to quit. Be strong and courageous. That's our prayer for you.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
If this helps you, if it bless you, share it.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yep.
Subscribe to it.
Please.
Because we coming back. You know why?
Yeah.
Because we courageous. We'll be here. We'll do it again.
See y'all next week.
God bless you.